Jesus and led him away and delivered him to Pilate. And they all condemned him and said,
Crucify him! Crucify him!
When Pilate heard these words, he brought Jesus out and sat down on the judgment seat at the place called the Pavement, but in Hebrew, Gabbatha. Then he handed Jesus over to them to be crucified. Jesus went out bearing his own cross to the place called the place of a skull, which is called in Hebrew Golgotha. Although he was a son, he learned obedience through what he suffered. Like a lamb, he was led to the slaughter, and like a sheep that before its shearers is mute, so he opened not his mouth. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain to receive power and riches and wisdom and strength and honor and glory and blessing. Let us bow down and bend the knee and kneel before the Lord our Maker, for he is the Lord our God. To what can I liken you? To what can I compare you, O daughter of Jerusalem? What likeness can I use to comfort you, O virgin daughter of Zion? For vast as the sea is your ruin. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. The Lord will be your everlasting light, and your days of mourning shall be ended. As they led Jesus away, they came upon a man of Cyrene, Simon by name, who was coming in from the country, and laid on him the cross to carry it behind Jesus. If anyone would come after me, let him deny himself, and take up his cross and follow me. Take my yoke upon you, and learn from me, for my yoke is easy, and my burden is light. We have seen him without beauty or majesty, and with no looks to attract our eyes. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And as one from whom hid their faces, he was despised, and we esteemed him not. His appearance was so marred beyond human semblance, and his form beyond transgressions. He was bruised for our iniquities. Upon him was the chastisement that made us whole, and with his stripes we are healed. He carried our sorrows. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way, and the Lord has laid upon him the iniquity of us all. He was oppressed, and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. For the transgressions of my people was stricken. There followed after Jesus a great multitude of people, and among them were the women who bewailed and lamented him. But Jesus, turning to them, said, Daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me, but weep for yourselves and for your children. I am the man who has seen affliction under the rod of his wrath. He has driven and brought me into the darkness without any light. He has besieged me and enveloped me with bitterness and tribulation. He has made me dwell in darkness like the dead of long ago. Though I call and cry for help, he shuts out my prayer. He made my teeth grind on gravel and made me cower in ashes. Remember, O Lord, my affliction and bitterness, the wormwood and the gall. When they came to a place called Golgotha, which means the place of the skull, they offered him wine to drink, mingled with gall. But when he tasted it, he would not drink it. And they divided his garments among them by casting lots. This was to fulfill the scripture, which says, "They divided my garments among them. They cast lots for my clothing." To the place which is called the skull, there they crucified him, and with him they crucified two criminals, one on the right and other on the left, and Jesus between them. And the scripture was fulfilled, which says, "He was numbered with the transgressors." Jesus saw his mother and the disciple who he loved standing near. He said to his mother, "Woman, behold your son." Then he said to the disciple, "Behold your mother." And when Jesus had received the vinegar, he said, "It is finished." And then, crying in a loud voice, he said, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit." And he bowed his head and handed over his spirit. All you who pass by, behold and see. Is there any sorrow like my sorrow? My eyes are spent with weeping. My soul is in tumult. My heart is poured out in grief because of the sorrow of my people. Do not call me Naomi, which means pleasant. Call me Mara, which means bitter, for Almighty has dealt very bitterly with me. This evening, there came a rich man from Arimathea, named Joseph, who also was a disciple of Jesus. He went to Pilate and asked for the body of Jesus. Then Pilate ordered it to be given to him. And Joseph took the body and wrapped it in a clean linen shroud and laid it in his own new tomb, which he had hewn in the rock. And he rolled a great stone to the door of the tomb.